Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. Does Sonny's plan to destroy Sidwell put Lucas and Jocelyn in perpetual danger? Lucas Jones and Jocelyn Jacks may be in jeopardy as a result of Sonny Corinthos' scheme to permanently destroy Jen Sidwell. Sidwell is stepping over a dangerous line now that he has blackmail evidence he can use against Sonny. Sonny doesn't let a villain like Sidwell keep all the power forever. Sonny will undoubtedly try to reclaim control of the situation because he is accustomed to being in charge. As this rivalry intensifies, Lucas and Jocelyn may find themselves in danger, even if that means planning Sidwell's deadly demise. Lucas's residence at Windmere and Jocelyn's use of him in her WSB mission will put them in close proximity to any potential Sidwell mayhem. There's a chance that unanticipated victims like Michael Corinthos might suffer harm, as fans witnessed with the attack on Sonny's penthouse. Before Marco Rio saved her, Christina Corinthos Davis was also caught in the Charlie's Pub fire. On GH, it's common for innocent characters to become entangled in mob chaos, so it might also happen this time. Sonny will undoubtedly find a method to exact revenge on Sidwell, which may entail implementing Jason Morgan's recommendation to remove him entirely from the map. It might be the only way to permanently halt Sidwell. Unfortunately, if Lucas and Jocelyn are caught in the crossfire, there might be some unexpected repercussions. It's easy to see Lucas unintentionally getting into perilous situations and Jocelyn being put in grave risk while attempting to save him. Carly Spencer can become enraged with Jack Brennan for allowing Jocelyn to suffer harm as a result. Additionally, Carly may become enraged with Sonny and Jason for their lack of caution. Stay tuned for updates on any terrible news that may arise from the Sidwell, Sonny, and Laura Collins drama. Sonny Corinthos' plot to end Jen Sidwell permanently could put Lucas Jones and Jocelyn Jacks in more danger than anyone yet realizes as Port Charles braces for another wave of mob chaos that no one, not even Sonny, may be able to fully control. Now that Sidwell has secured explosive blackmail material he can use to keep Sonny under his thumb, he's crossed a line that has historically proven fatal for anyone foolish enough to try and hold power over the Corinthos empire. Sonny is a man who has fought for decades to maintain dominance in the underworld, and the idea of letting a reckless and unpredictable figure like Sidwell hold all the cards is something he would never tolerate for long, especially now that Sidwell is publicly flexing his new leverage like a trophy. As Sidwell grows bolder, Sonny becomes more determined to regain control, and that determination pushes him closer to plotting Sidwell's elimination before the blackmailer can do even greater damage. But the more Sonny strategizes behind the scenes with Jason Morgan, Dex Heller, and even Dante, who's caught between his badge and his bloodline, the more it becomes clear that this is not a clean operation. There are moving parts, innocent lives entwined, and volatile personalities who could unknowingly walk straight into the line of fire. That includes Lucas Jones and Jocelyn Jacks, whose current involvement with Sidwell and WSB-related missions puts them uncomfortably close to the blast zone of Sonny's retaliation, even if Sonny himself doesn't fully grasp the scope of the risk yet. Lucas, who's been staying at Windmere, a location that has always been a magnet for danger, unwittingly places himself at ground zero for any confrontation involving Sidwell's network, especially if Sidwell decides to use Windmere as a pawn or a safehouse in his escalating war with Sonny. Meanwhile, Jocelyn's determination to take control of her own destiny, combined with her involvement with the WSB through her mission that relies on Lucas as a key player, ties her to Sidwell's schemes in a way that could quickly spiral out of control. It doesn't help that Jocelyn has inherited Carly Spencer's instinct to jump into the fray rather than stand on the sidelines, making her vulnerable to walking into danger in an attempt to protect Lucas, expose Sidwell, or even gather intelligence that she fails to realize could paint a target on her back. What many characters fail to see is that Sidwell is already operating with a scorched earth mindset. After realizing Sonny is working to undermine him at every turn, Sidwell could strike first, using anyone close to Sonny as collateral, perhaps not to kill them, but to send a message, just as he did when the attack on Sonny's penthouse resulted in Michael Corinthos getting severely injured. If Sidwell is willing to put Sonny's own son in the hospital to deliver a warning, what chance do Lucas or Jocelyn have, especially since neither of them has the experience or instincts necessary to predict movements in the criminal underworld? And considering what happened to Christina Corinthos Davis, who nearly died in the fire at Charlie's pub until Marco Rios's last-second rescue, it's clear that innocent individuals connected to the Corinthos family are always moments away from suffering the consequences of Sonny's endless feuds. Danger trickles down in Port Charles, and those who never asked to be involved often pay the highest price. Lucas, for instance, could easily stumble across a piece of information Sidwell once kept hidden: documents, recordings, a shipment schedule, a witness Sidwell is hiding, and become a target without ever realizing what he uncovered. Jocelyn, driven by bravery mixed with impulsiveness, could then insert herself into the situation to protect Lucas, not understanding that Sidwell, calculating, ruthless, and far more cunning than his early antics indicated, would have no hesitation about using her as leverage, bait, or worse if it meant keeping Sonny off balance. And if Jocelyn ends up injured during one of Sidwell's retaliatory strikes, chaos will explode across Port Charles. Carly Spencer, already furious about the constant danger surrounding her children, will unleash her wrath on anyone she deems responsible, including Jack Brennan, who brought Jocelyn into the WSB orbit in the first place. Brennan's entire operation could blow up in his face if Carly holds him accountable for failing to protect Jocelyn during a mission he himself encouraged. Meanwhile, Carly's anger towards Sonny and Jason would reach historic levels. She could blame them for escalating the war with Sidwell before ensuring the safety of the people closest to them, which would ignite new fractures between families, alliances, and long-held loyalties. Laura Collins, who's caught between keeping the peace in Port Charles and dealing with Sidwell's threats from a legal and political standpoint, may find herself overwhelmed as the dominoes begin to fall. Every decision she makes regarding Sidwell could have unintended consequences, and with Sonny moving quietly behind the scenes to orchestrate Sidwell's downfall, Laura is unknowingly sitting on top of a powder keg that is moments away from blowing. The more Sonny pushes for Sidwell to be removed permanently, the more Jason may remind him that killing Sidwell is the only way to stop a man who thrives on leverage, secrets, and pressure points, but taking him out the wrong way could set off even greater violence, federal involvement, or exposure of Corinthos secrets that cannot afford to see daylight. Yet Sonny may decide he has no choice. Sidwell has to be eliminated before he causes permanent damage, and Jason, always loyal even when he disagrees, could step back into his enforcer role. But no matter how clean the plan seems on paper, Jason knows firsthand, blood never flows exactly where you expect in Port Charles. There are always casualties, always unpredictable variables, and always collateral damage that leaves scars far deeper than physical wounds. The possibility that Lucas or Jocelyn could get caught in the crossfire terrifies even the toughest characters behind closed doors. Should Sidwell realize Sonny plans to take him out, he won't hesitate to strike first. He might use Lucas to set a trap, knowing Sonny's people will rush in blindly to save a family member. Or he might kidnap Jocelyn, not necessarily to harm her but to stall Sonny long enough to execute the next phase of his plan, something that could involve exposing law enforcement corruption, public humiliation, or releasing the incriminating evidence he has collected. But Sidwell underestimates two things: Sonny's rage when his children are threatened, and Carly's fury when those she loves are placed in danger. If Jocelyn ends up hurt or missing, Carly could team up with Brennan, Sonny, Jason, or even go rogue, to hunt Sidwell down herself, sparking a chain reaction of violence that no one will be able to contain. The ripples of Sonny's fight with Sidwell may also spill into other ongoing storylines, such as Laura's struggle to maintain civic order, Dante's conflict between protecting his family and upholding the law, and Willow's fear that Michael's injuries could be repeated with Jocelyn or Lucas next. Characters across the canvas will feel the shockwaves, because Sonny vs. Sidwell is a battle built on secrets, leverage, retaliation, and desperation. And when all those pieces collide, the fallout rarely remains contained. In the end, Sonny's push to eliminate Sidwell may very well be the only option that prevents future destruction. Sidwell isn't a villain who backs down, he's a man who escalates until his enemies surrender or fall. But taking him out carries a heavy cost, and if Lucas and Jocelyn are pulled into the conflict at the wrong moment, Sonny could win the war but lose pieces of his family in the process. Whether it's a shooting, kidnapping, explosion, ambush, or manipulated event meant to misdirect Sonny's organization, the danger is real, imminent, and rapidly intensifying. And with so many threads intertwined, WSB operations, blackmail files, mob retaliation, political pressure, personal vendettas, the next phase of this storyline could be the most explosive yet. All the Sidwell, Sonny, and Laura turmoil is building like a storm cloud ready to burst, and when it does, the fallout could reshape alliances, destroy trust, and test the Corinthos family in ways they never imagined. Stick with us for updates on every twist, every betrayal, and every piece of awful news ahead as Sonny's plot to end Sidwell permanently spirals into a battle that may cost far more than he expected. As the danger surrounding Sonny Corinthos and Jen Sidwell intensifies, the situation in Port Charles becomes more volatile by the hour, with the threat to Lucas Jones and Jocelyn Jacks expanding in ways no one fully anticipates, as Sidwell's shadow stretches wider and darker across the entire canvas of the town. The deeper Sonny digs into strategies to permanently eliminate Sidwell, the more he uncovers a disturbing truth. Sidwell isn't just a blackmailer with ambition, he's assembled an intricate web of alliances, debts, informants, and hidden assets that make him far more dangerous than the city initially assumed. Sidwell's reach extends into law enforcement, the WSB, the mayor's office, several shell companies, and a handful of international contacts who owe him favors for reasons no one can yet piece together. This is no simple takedown, he's a hydra, and removing one head could cause 3 more to rise. Jason Morgan understands this, which is why he warns Sonny repeatedly that eliminating Sidwell requires precision, timing, and absolute secrecy, yet secrecy becomes nearly impossible as more innocent people unknowingly step into Sidwell's crosshairs. Lucas, for instance, continues living at Windmere, unaware that Sidwell has been using the estate's forgotten tunnels, side entrances, and hidden rooms as a temporary storage site for coded ledgers and stolen data drives. If Lucas accidentally stumbles into one of those areas, he could unlock a chain of events that sends Sidwell into a full-blown panic, prompting him to silence Lucas before he has a chance to reveal what he found. Meanwhile, Jocelyn, bold and restless, starts looking into Sidwell's connection to her WSB mission on her own, determined to prove she's not a child anymore and can handle operations without hand-holding from Brennan or anyone else. But her impulsive decision to investigate Sidwell's affiliates through phone intercepts, digital footprints, and warehouse surveillance may put her directly on Sidwell's radar, and once Sidwell realizes the daughter of Carly Spencer is poking around his network, he won't sit back and let her gather information. Sidwell is cunning enough to know the quickest way to destabilize Sonny is by attacking the people Sonny loves most, and he quickly identifies Jocelyn as an ideal pressure point, not only because she's Sonny's stepdaughter in every way that matters but because she's fearless, stubborn, and independent enough to be baited into dangerous zones without realizing she's walking into a trap. This becomes even more complicated when Jocelyn reaches out to Lucas for help with deciphering encrypted data she suspects belongs to Sidwell, thinking Lucas's medical background and calm, rational mind will help her focus. But Lucas's involvement is exactly what Sidwell's operatives notice. The more Jocelyn and Lucas communicate, the more Sidwell will wonder what Windmere's quiet doctor knows. And if Sidwell believes Lucas has accessed anything sensitive, he may assume Lucas needs to be silenced, not out of malice but out of pragmatic paranoia. Lucas, unaware of the danger, goes about his daily routine, visiting General Hospital, checking in on patients, spending time on Spoon Island, and attending family gatherings, never once suspecting someone may be watching him, documenting his patterns and daily movements. Meanwhile, Jocelyn's determination to do things her own way keeps leading her closer to danger. The WSB warned her repeatedly that Sidwell has ties to arms dealers, cybercriminals, and foreign intelligence groups, meaning he's not someone she can outmaneuver alone, but Jocelyn, fueled by a desire to prove herself and protect her family, ignores these warnings. She believes if she can gather the right evidence, she'll have leverage to lock Sidwell away permanently, ending the threat for good. But what she doesn't know is that Sidwell monitors WSB files, keeps a digital eye on suspected surveillance, and has informants across Port Charles who report anything that feels off, including the sudden increase of a young blonde woman snooping around restricted areas. Meanwhile, Carly senses something is off with Jocelyn and begins digging, believing her daughter is hiding more than she admits. Carly's instincts have always been unparalleled. She knows when a storm is coming, and the air around her feels thick with danger. If she discovers that Jocelyn is secretly entangled in Sidwell-related espionage, Carly won't hesitate to storm Brennan's office, the PC police department, or even Sonny's penthouse to demand answers. And Brennan would find himself at the center of Carly's rage if she learns he placed her daughter in harm's way for a mission that could easily have been assigned to someone older, more experienced, or less personally connected to the Corinthos family. Carly's fury could ripple into further chaos if she blames Sonny for escalating the war with Sidwell without ensuring Jocelyn's safety first. Carly could also confront Jason, warning him that if anything happens to Jocelyn because of Sonny's decisions, she will never forgive either of them. Jason, torn between loyalty to Sonny and his protective instincts toward the people he considers family, may begin making moves behind Sonny's back to safeguard Lucas and Jocelyn, believing Sonny is too emotionally charged to see the full scope of the danger. At the same time, Laura Collins struggles to maintain order as Sidwell's influence triggers unusual patterns across Port Charles, sudden supply shortages, anonymous tips coming into the PCPD, missing persons in neighboring towns, encrypted messages intercepted by the WSB, and small but strategically significant explosions at seemingly random sites. Laura senses Sidwell is preparing something bigger, something that could destabilize Port Charles in a way the town hasn't seen since Cyrus Renaud or even Helena Cassadine. And the more Laura tries to intervene legally, the more frustrated she becomes, realizing Sidwell anticipates every move and stays 5 steps ahead. Her position as mayor becomes increasingly strained, especially as constituents grow fearful and political opponents begin blaming her for letting the city fall into chaos. Laura may eventually confront Sonny directly, demanding he stop his personal vendetta before it escalates into a citywide catastrophe, but Sonny will refuse, arguing that eliminating Sidwell is the only way to restore safety, not just for his family but for everyone in Port Charles. Meanwhile, Dante finds himself in an impossible position. Forced to walk the line between law enforcement and family loyalty, Dante must investigate the same man Sonny plans to kill. If Dante gets too close to the truth, he could find himself in conflict with his own father. If he turns a blind eye, he could lose his badge or worse. The emotional toll begins weighing on him, especially after Michael's injury and Christina's brush with death. Dante knows firsthand how dangerous Sonny's enemies can be, and he also knows Sidwell isn't the type of villain who bluffs. If Sidwell is cornered, he will lash out with lethal force. Dante may even try to warn Jocelyn and Lucas in secret, hoping to protect them without alerting Sonny, but this could backfire, making Sidwell believe Dante is interfering, which places the detective on Sidwell's threat list. The turning point may come when Sidwell stages an event that forces everyone's hand, perhaps a kidnapping meant to divert attention, a staged explosion designed to resemble a mob hit, a fake digital leak pointing blame at Sonny, or an attack at a Corinthos-related business designed to appear random but is actually a calculated move. Whatever Sidwell orchestrates, its purpose will be clear, to disorient the Corinthos organization while simultaneously drawing Jocelyn and Lucas into the conflict more deeply. Lucas might find himself cornered in a hospital corridor by one of Sidwell's men, threatened into silence about something he doesn't even understand. Jocelyn might be lured into a trap under the guise of meeting a supposed WSB contact who claims to have crucial information about Sidwell. These events could force Jocelyn and Lucas to rely on each other, strengthening their bond but also increasing their vulnerability as Sidwell tracks their movements more closely. If Lucas or Jocelyn ends up harmed, even slightly, Sonny's response will be catastrophic. Sonny has always been ruthless when his family is threatened, and Sidwell may underestimate how far Sonny will go when pushed to the edge. Jason may attempt to keep Sonny grounded, reminding him that reckless retaliation could compromise everything they're trying to achieve. But Sonny, fueled by rage and desperation, might decide to act unilaterally, setting up a rogue operation with Dex or another trusted lieutenant to eliminate Sidwell once and for all. This could trigger the final showdown, one that determines whether Sidwell falls or whether Sonny's empire collapses around him. Meanwhile, Carly, having reached her breaking point, could launch her own counter-operation, teaming up with someone unexpected, maybe Anna Devane, maybe Brennan, maybe even Ava Jerome, to protect Jocelyn, uncover Sidwell's hidden assets, or intercept Sidwell's next major play. The longer Sidwell stays alive, the more dangerous he becomes. And if Sonny and Sidwell finally collide in a decisive battle, the ripple effects could be catastrophic. Friendships may be destroyed, alliances shattered, family members traumatized, and Port Charles itself left in ruins. Whether it's a shootout on the docks, a kidnapping rescue mission at Windermere, a surveillance sting gone wrong, or a dramatic confrontation in an abandoned warehouse lit with flickering shadows, the final confrontation will force every character, Lucas, Jocelyn, Sonny, Carly, Jason, Laura, Dante, Brennan, to make choices with consequences that will echo through future storylines for months or even years.